Tyson, Floyd, from my upcoming Mike Tyson event to my next professional fight afterwards, no one will generate a bigger gate, have a larger global broadcast audience, and generate more money with each event than my events. And I plan to keep doing it with my global media partner, CSI Sports slash Fight Sports. Ocho,
Hey, I'm glad we own this one. I'm glad we own this
go
one.
ahead.
Now,
Take it away.
Floyd, chat, stay with me real quick. Y'all know how much I love boxing. I'm a boxing enthusiast. I'm one that's been in the ring as well. I've trained with all the best fighters in the world. But in order for Floyd to come back, right, to be able to command the kind of money he wants, obviously, I'm not sure if he's in financial problems or not. But why would you at this age come out of retirement after not fighting since what 2017, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah,
something
it's
like
been
that?
about 8 years.
Yeah, 8 years outside of exhibitions, obviously, is to do what he's always said is have a bank robbery with no mask on. So if that's what you're gonna do, there are only three fights. Chat, listen to me. There are only three fights that Floyd can have that can command and get the kind of money he's looking to recoup for money that may have been lost, or money that may have been stolen, or money he may have spent, to date. For one, a rematch with Canelo. That's one fight.
Camelo too big. He let that go.
Listen to me, Unc. We talk about making that money. He ain't gonna have no choice. Number two, fighting Pacquiao again. Right?
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah.
And the only other fight that can get him the kind of money and the kind of payday he might need if you're coming out of retirement and putting your record in jeopardy, and that's Bud.
Man, Lord.
Chad Johnson is trying to get Floyd killed, bro. He said, "Bud, oh my God." Oh man, I didn't believe it. So I've been seeing this all around, and I'm not gonna lie, y'all. Like, I like to wait, to vet this different content, because a lot of it be, fan theory, right? Or a lot of it be people's hopes and wishes and dreams. But Floyd has said this, right? Oh man. I'm making this video because I want to know why. Like, 8 years of no fighting, and now you want to fight. Like, for what? I mean, obviously money. Okay, obviously money. But Floyd had decades in the game. He can't coach another superstar. He can't. Like, there are so many fighters out there. He can go through a process and find a superstar and coach him up, and then his name will still be popping in the algorithm. He will still get to go to all the fights. He will still get bread, but he'll get bread as someone on the other side of the ring. Why put your body to risk? You're almost half a century. But we're gonna get into the why, because this is insane. So Jason Whitlock, this dude is crazy. They have thoughts on why Floyd is fighting, and I'm gonna share mine after this clip.
Yeah, the guy's
Come on.
he
Really?
had to have made $500 million.
No, but wait a minute. Did we forget the words of the philosopher Pat Ewing? We make a lot of money, but we spend a lot of money. Dre, go ahead.
So it's we know what he made off the amounts that was announced, but what we don't know is what he did with his money, how liquid it is, how much assets he remains having, and what are his liabilities. We don't know. The challenge for Floyd, and it's a challenge with a lot of young black men who become famous, is that he made a brand out of, let me show you what I have. I've made this much money. Let me take another picture with stacks of money. Let me tell you, I made great investments, so I'm good with money. He's been saying this for years. He built his brand off of it, literally changed from pretty boy to money. And if he ends up having money problems, he can't keep up that image, well, he has to do something to go get the money. And in the ring, I love watching Floyd. It would be sad to watch him fight somebody like Terrence Crawford and get destroyed and destroy the image that we have of
This man, Ojo said, Bud, bro, like, we don't want to see you fight Bud. We don't want to. We don't want to see that. Please don't fight Bud, please. They would have to listen. The police would have to. The ambulance would have to be there on site because that man is going to be in trouble. He said he wanted him to fight Bud. That's crazy.
Floyd. The challenge with him again is he decided to build his brand around I have a bunch of money, and this looks like what Ocho Cinco was referring to. Looks like he's doing it for the money. I hope, just like Shannon Sharp said, I hope he's doing it just because he just wants to fight and he doesn't have anything better to do. It doesn't look like that based on the way that he has branded himself over the last 20 years. But I guess maybe we'll find out. Maybe we won't. But that article that you were referring to, Steve, I can't remember which publication put it out there, but they laid out a lot of the stuff that he allegedly is in trouble with financially.
And guys, Manny Pacquiao is doing his own exhibition April 18th against Ruslan Provodnikov. I think it's a natural that those two fight. Mayweather Pacquiao, you can call it go for broke. It'll sell like hotcakes.
I don't understand, Scap. Why not just start a podcast? Isn't this what all the former NFL and basketball players do?
First of all, Whitlock, no one wants to hear Floyd talk, bro. We don't want to hear him read or talk. I'm sorry, Floyd. I'm sorry. It's the truth. We don't. Please, just, show us the money and fight. Please don't talk or read. Please.
Why not
Can't
start
make $200 million in one night with a podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, look, are you serious? Mayweather Pacquiao? We could call it AARP is what we could call
Right.
that. Who wants to watch that? Look,
Everyone will watch it, Scat. Everybody will watch it. Because the thing is that Pacquiao is a brand name. Mayweather is the biggest boxing brand name. And so he's still going to get hundreds of millions, because the reason why Floyd gets a lot of money is because one, Floyd has never lost, but two, Floyd attracts people like me, the casual fan. I'm not a hardcore boxing fan, so I only know the big names of boxing. And so because he's able to get people like me, right, that makes him more valuable, and they get way more money because there's way more casual fans than hardcore boxing fans that exist in America.
as I took the liberty of
Everybody will
doing
watch
a
it.
cursory Google search while you guys were talking, estimates are 1.1 to 1.52 bill. That's billion with a B that Floyd Mayweather has made throughout his career from like purses that he's taken in from fights. $1 billion, and he's 47 years old and he's completely broke. He's won the prize. This is, of all the idiots that we've seen out there, celebrities, actors, entertainers that have lost a lot of money, this guy would take the cake to blow a bill. But
So to Scat, normally when people lose that much money, it's not the person like Floyd. It wouldn't be actually Floyd that lost the money. Let me explain what I'm saying. So when you make that much money, Floyd probably has lawyers, he probably has accountants, he probably has people that invest for him. And so although he's worth like a Billy, that doesn't mean he has a Billy, right? And I'm going to show you in the video, it depends on who you hire, because I believe if we don't know if he is broke, if Floyd is broke, it's because he had snakes in his camp and they were siphoning money off of him for decades and he didn't know about it. It's a lot of stealing going on. So it's not like it is Floyd's fault because it is Floyd's money, but like at the same time, if he hires an accountant and the accountant, doesn't pay his taxes, or the accountant, is taking money off the top, or the accountant is putting money into bad projects or into bad investments, it's Floyd's fault because it's Floyd's money, but it's also the accountant's fault too. I mean, I would say it's like 70 30, right? It's 70% Floyd, but it's still like 30% the other person, you know.
Before he even hits 50 is unimaginable. It actually is sad. It's a cautionary tale. We have seen it time and time again. But who actually wants to watch this guy fight? Like, people that love him. If he comes out and what if he loses and looks terrible and gets destroyed? Well, look, if you love him or hate him, you can say, well, he's nearly 50 years old. This doesn't.
Everyone will watch it because it will be. People watch Mike Tyson and Paul fight, right? We'll watch anything that's entertaining, but we'll watch it for the spectacle. You know, if he loses, it's going to be hilarious. We're going to laugh. You know, he's still going to live a great life or whatever, but we're going to get our laughs in. We're going to, you know, get to make our videos and talk a little bit of shit. It's going to be funny. You know what I'm saying?
Doesn't prove anything. Like, he's not in his prime anymore. You obviously can't talk junk on a guy for losing or getting beat by like a prime fighter if he's nearly 50 years old or 47 or whatever. I just don't understand. Like, what's the story angle here? Like, what's compelling about watching a near 50-year-old guy box?
What's compelling? I can tell you what's compelling. What's compelling is if it's true that he has money issues, he's coming back to get the bag and he risks his legacy. That's compelling. That's a compelling story. People go watch that movie. It was to be this undefeated person that everyone would watch to see him lose, come back and lose. And the only reason why he lost is because he was old and he had money issues. People would love to watch that.
I don't get it.
Scap, I think that there's an allure to what Dre said. People want to see Floyd get beat up because we've never seen it before. Okay. And by the way, I think it's less than 5 all-time great fighters that I can remember that actually stayed retired. One of them was Rocky Marciano, who died in a plane crash. The other one was Marvin Hagler, who had just had enough and moved to Italy to do spaghetti westerns. But Jason, about 2 weeks ago, Floyd Mayweather filed a lawsuit with damages named like $360 million against Showtime and their president, Steven Espinoza, alleging fraud, misallocation of funds. So this is definitely about the money.
And half of that money he made, that billions gap, went to the IRS. Let's not forget about that.
Oh,
and then you take in his, you take in his lifestyle. You take in the luxury stuff that he probably pays for and buys, the people he's responsible for, his children, family members he's taking care of. That money can go pretty quickly. Listen to Odell Beckham Jr.
500 million.
I'm gonna try to be nice. No, I'm not. When people say things like that, right? When they say, "Oh my God, money can go quickly," they're speaking from a point of view of someone that didn't have $500 million. You had $500 million, right? He got family, he got kids, he got grandkids, right? Spending that much money, right? Before you, like, if say he got the money in his 20s and he spent it all his money by 80 years old. Okay, cool. He got $500 million before. If he spent $500 million before he turned 50 years old, he had to have been going stupid. Like, what are you talking about? Like, did he buy his 10-year-old Bugatti? Like, what was he doing with the money? What? No, I know it. We're gonna get to what really happened to the money. You know, so like I said, there's a lot of stealing. But what I'm saying is, like, he's making it seem like, you know, he's taking care of a whole city. Like, he's taking care of maybe 40, 50 people, bro. Like 40 or 50 people, you can take care of them with $500 million. I'm pretty sure you can.
$1 billion net. That can go pretty quickly. I got you. Right, you got some audacious takes today. I'll give you that.
I'm playing devil's advocate here.
OBJ And OBJ right now is thrilled. He's like, see, they thought I was lying when I said it was hard to live on $100 million. It's hard to live on $1 billion. We just, taxes.
It depends on how you define living. Yeah.
And
How much
kids.
is living?
Yeah. I mean, as someone, Dre, seriously though, as someone that gives life business advice, it just blows my mind that these athletes, no one ever catches on. No one saw the broke 30 for 30. No one ever, like, to me, as someone who's a lifelong gambler, and it's like, I'm not shocked at all. The more when Floyd was posting his winning tickets and all this other stuff, I was like, man, you headed for trouble, brother. It's I'm not shocked. Gamblers go broke.
Yeah, well, Jason, is like this. There's a concept called time perspective. And simple as this, the more successful the person, the further into the future they think about the permutations of their current actions. You used to live in LA, and you've said on your...
Did you just hear that goofy shit he said? The more successful you are, the more short-term thinking you are, which means if you're super successful, you're only thinking about, you only can see tomorrow. You can't see a year. That doesn't make any sense. That makes no sense. That makes absolute. Now, if you're talking about an entertainer, that makes sense. If you're talking about, a athlete, yes, that makes sense. But like a regular person that works hard and then makes money, no, that does not make sense at all. Like the people that are regular that become wealthy, it was a lot of, delayed gratification. And because you have delayed gratification, everything you're doing is for the future. So maybe he should have said athlete / entertainer, and then that statement would have made sense to me. That's just how I see it, because there's no way you can be a wealthy individual and not be able to have foresight, or have very little foresight. Foresight is to be able to plan and work in the aspects of what's going to happen 3-4 years from now.
Your show that you left LA not because it was going bad for you, but because you were thinking about the next 10-20 years of your life, and you wanted to put yourself in a better position 20 years from now, not right there in the moment. Because if it was about 20 minutes from now, you'd probably still be in LA, right?
Yeah.
And most human beings have very short time perspectives. They think about immediate gratification, what will make me feel good in 5 minutes, not what's going to help me in 10 years. And Floyd Mayweather seems, as his mindset may just be of the average individual person. He happens to be an amazing boxer, and he made a lot of money doing it, but his mindset is probably a much shorter time perspective. And when you're in it and you're making that much money for 36 minutes of action, do you think it's ever going to end? Does it seem like you're going to need money 10, 20 years from now? Probably not. So I wouldn't say that it's that crazy for us on the outside looking in. Looking back, it looks crazy. But in the moment, you're making $200 million for one fight. Doesn't seem like it's ever going to end. And it doesn't.
So, yeah, like I said, I think he's just talking about like entertainers and athletes, because that's the entertainer athlete problem. In order for any of us to make that type of money, it would take a lot of work and sacrifice. So there's no way you could be a short-term thinker and get rich as a regular person. Academics actually went into some of the reasons. Well, to me, the biggest reason of why Floyd is actually fighting, right? Let's just say Floyd, he's not a good reader, and the discernment on this man is low. It's low. He has bad discernment. He hired a snake, and this was what happened.
Might still not be as rich as people thought. And there's more details that have came out. So the details is this, right? Let me try to lay this out in a good format for you. Okay. Here. All right. So it gives us like a really good picture of like Floyd Mayweather's, finances and other things. And this is where we kind of get to it. So there's this idea, and by the way, I think even Forbes has reported that Floyd is one of the rare fighters that, due to his athletic activity, there's been at least $1 billion in payout. I don't know if necessarily to him, but like because of how great he's been. So the lawsuit's kind of out, and now we have much more details that's going to give some context to it. So it says non-party Al Haymon was Mayweather's longtime manager and advisor and the alleged masterminds of a financial scheme. So he's claiming that Al Haymon robbed him, but he didn't sue him. He says a Harvard-educated businessman with a background in music promotion, Haymon is known for operating behind the scenes and maintaining extreme secrecy in dealings. Mayweather considered Haymon a father figure at the time and relied on him to manage virtually all aspects of his finances and contract. This position of trust and confidence made Haymon a fiduciary to Mayweather under California law. Haymon, however, has a reputation for leaving surprisingly few fingerprints on transactions and disclosing as little as possible to those he worked with. Okay. Says non-party is also Jeff Morris, who is a certified public accountant and tax attorney who was engaged allegedly by Haymon without Mayweather's consent to handle Mayweather's tax and accounting matters. Morris was a signator and a controller on several bank accounts where Mayweather fight earnings were deposited. For example, an accountant for blah, 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 was designated to receive revenue from at least one of Mayweather's fight. Morris's role in the scheme includes facilitating transfers and concealing information at Haymon's discretion. Basically, they're saying that Al Haymon was the person that was utilizing other people to try to hide the money.
We're going to investigate this further and further.
Well, he brought other people in, and the other people said, hey, something's not right here. The guy's not returning your calls. He was pressing them for the money and not returning calls. And Haymon keeps claiming he's sick. And, is he sick or is he dodging? Is he using this? And like Vincent Gigante, the then head of the Genovese crime family, used to fake that he had mental illness. You see? And a lot of people think Haymon was faking sick.
Wow. Insane.
Remember, he's been on top of a crumbling empire for a long time, and it's crumbled. Trust me.
PBC.
Okay. Give me a second.
So, real quick, when they were talking about, Jason was talking about, how did he lose all this money? Just like any other, I think it was Steve Harvey lost his money, because of mishandling. He had people that handle his money, mishandling money. Wesley Snipes, right? That's like IRS say, hey man, bring your black ass over here. But yeah, Wesley Snipes, so a lot of this has to do with people that he had on his team, and it's bad because Floyd seems the type of person that he's very easily, manipulatable. Like you could just, all you gotta do is kind of butter him up a little bit, make him feel good, and you can just get whatever you want. What makes this really bad for Floyd is the guy that was stealing his money, right? They only had one paper contract, and then the rest of it was verbal. So it's hard. It's going to be very hard for Floyd to prove anything. And then, as you just heard, Al Haymon didn't actually his signature or anything like that's not on a lot of paperwork. A lot of it is because he didn't use a computer. He didn't use email. He was using fax, as we're going to hear in the video. And so, I see why Floyd would come back to fight, because we don't know how much money this man stole from Floyd. We don't know how much.
All right. So now we're getting a little bit more into his finances. And man, if this is true, it's shady. So Here's some things and some tactics, because now we're realizing maybe Mayweather really didn't know what was going on with his money. This says Haymon's aversion to leaving a digital trail extended to how he communicated instructions. He often relied on fax transmissions and in-person meetings rather than emails. In fact, when a subpoena for Haymon's deposition was served in related litigation, his counsel represented that Mr. Haymon doesn't even own or operate a computer, underscoring his deliberate avoidance of traceable electronic communication. By using faxes and avoiding emails, he made it harder to later uncover written evidence of his directives. For example, instruction to banker accounts. This old school approach was a part of what one association called working in the Flintstone ages, and has served this purpose of secrecy well. So apparently he was telling people what to do with Floyd's money, but never actually putting paperwork to it. Now they give a little context that Floyd Mayweather met him and blah, blah. Let's read. So it says, Mayweather first signed his first promotional contract, including a long-term deal with Top Rank, Boxing, and HBO without an independent legal counsel. For example, or instance, he later learned that an early contract gave HBO control to his fight footage masters, a term he didn't fully understand at the time, which would have future financial implications. Despite these disadvantages, Mayweather's talent propelled him quickly to championship status, earning him the nickname Pretty Boy Floyd, or later Money Mayweather. Around 2004, he was introduced to Al Haymon. The introduction was facilitated by Sam Watson. Haymon, a Harvard MBA graduate and a former music concert promoter, impressed Mayweather with his vision of maximizing fighters' earnings and taking more of a fighter-centric approach than traditional boxing promoters. Mayweather, coming off a strained relationship with promoters, he famously bought his contract with Bob Arum and Top Rank to become a free agent. He was receptive to Haymon's advice and influence. Mayweather and Haymon entered into what Mayweather understood to be a verbal one-year management advisory agreement around 2005. Under this oral agreement, Haymon would act as Mayweather's manager or advisor for a 10% fee, meaning Haymon would receive 10% of Mayweather's fight earnings and Mayweather would keep 90%. The split was notably favorable compared to the standard management fee, which was often 33% in boxing. Mayweather's credited the unconventional deal structure with revolutionizing boxer management relationships, stating that it changed boxing management forever by empowering the fighter. After 1 year, no new written agreement was signed, which, by the way, it's kind of interesting how they're writing this. Didn't they say they entered to be a verbal agreement? So this lawsuit's already fucked. It says in 2005, they entered a verbal agreement where he was going to take 10%. And then they said after the year, they're saying, here we go. The split. Okay. After the 1 year term, no new written agreement was signed. Well, no written agreement was signed from the get-go. Yet Haymon continued in the same role for the next 15 plus years. So they're saying he just kept doing the same thing. At times, he represented Mayweather and others that he never took a dollar from Floyd, beyond perhaps token amounts, even claiming he provided his services out of loyalty and friendship. For example, Haymon would later say that he did everything for free for Mayweather, which Mayweather now believes was a deceptive narrative. Over the years, Haymon became deeply embedded in every aspect of his professional and personal affairs. Interesting. Financial harm to Mayweather is massive, at least $340 million. I think we read that already. Okay. Oh, well, we read a little bit more. Including historically lucrative Pacquiao fight, which he should have gotten $240 million. Okay? Beyond the principal sum and the lost investment, it's enormous. Even a conservative index might double the money of 7 to 10 years, so that 340 could easily have grown to $1 billion over the decade. Mayweather's ability to generate such income again, though through fighting, is limited, as he's now a semi-retired 40-year-old man. Thus, the opportunity cost is irretrievable, warranting a significant reward of prejudgment interest and loss of use of damages on top of the raw amount. Mayweather built a public persona around financial success. The revelation that he was defrauded out of hundreds of millions, and the resultant rumors, or the false rumors, that he was broke or stuck overseas due to money issues, have caused him reputational harm and mental anguish. He has to endure public speculation about his finances that is mortifying for someone of his pride and status. Internally, discovering that this betrayal by a long-trusted advisor at Haymon has been emotionally devastating. It strained relationships with him and his camp and his family and caused him to question his own judgment and trust in people. These are real damages cognizable under fraud and fiduciary breach claims. Said Mayweather is alleging that 20,000 or 20 million actually of his his 20 million Berto purse was actually paid out of his Manny Pacquiao purse, and another 50 million in vague expenses also was from the Manny Pacquiao purse. So he fought Berto for free, and he's also alleging he hasn't been paid out all the money from Pacquiao 11 years ago. So it says, routing the funds of secret accounts. And so on or about May 2015, Showtime and through his officers wired Mayweather's purse and a pay-per-view upside from the Pacquiao fight into a First Security Bank account, Jeff Morris account, rather than to Mayweather. This was an act furthered by the conspiracy of putting the money with Haymon, within Haymon's easy reach. Showtime's accountant statements for the fight, at least those I've been seeing, included false or inflated expenses would reduce Mayweather's net. For example, charging $50 million in vague expenses and $20 million for Berto on the Pacquiao ledger, acts which conceal the diversion of funds. If these entries were made at Haymon's request, Showtime's inclusion of them was an act joining the conspiracy as to give paper justification to withhold money from Mayweather. Okay, cool. All right. So essentially, they're saying they're finessing this guy, man. Haymon had a stroke in 2023, and it seems like it was a bad one. That's when Mayweather started asking questions about his money after Haymon became quite incapacitated. All of a sudden, Mayweather's lawyers started quitting and retiring. I could only assume those were Haymon-appointed lawyers. He says, on one occasion, Haymon or his agents allegedly altered a document to conceal wrongdoing. Mayweather representatives have an example of fax authorization form in which the date appears to have been manually altered, whited out, and rewritten to misrepresent when it was signed. The same document which purported to authorize Jeff Morris to pay himself a large sum from Mayweather's account had a telling notion. Initially, we need to cover our asses, which was crossed out by the version sent to the bank. The presence of the phrase and the redaction strongly suggests Haymon and his team recognized the impropriety of what they were doing and were attempting to do attempting to paper over the trail. Moreover, following the medical issue of stroke in late 2023, there was a sudden exodus of key members of Mayweather's camp. 5 of Mayweather's longtime attorney abruptly retired or withdrew from the representation within a 3-month span. This time it raised suspicion that these individuals may have been aware or complicit in aspects of hidden scheme and chose to distance themselves. Haymon was incapacitated and the situation risked exposure. To date, many records remain missing. Indeed, when Mayweather's new team asked Showtime in 2024 for documentation of fight revenues and expenses, they were told that some records, for example, the payouts spreadsheets or deal memos for the Pacquiao-McGregor fights, were actually lost in a flood or stored off-site and weren't readily accessible. Whether or not such flood occurred, and end result is that the documentation would clearly trace the flow of money to and from Mayweather from his biggest fight is conveniently unavailable.
I feel bad for Floyd, man, because we don't know, bro. We don't know how much money he actually have now. We don't know. We don't know. Imagine the person you saw as a father figure. I don't know why he would feel that way, but anyway, you've been working with him for a decade plus. He gets sick. All the lawyers decide, I'm done. We're gonna retire. That lets you know that the man he hired, his father figure, he had a whole team. He had a whole system of people siphoning money from this man, dog. That's insane. That is insane. But like I said before, this happens a lot to famous celebrities. A lot of them do get robbed by people they hire. The only problem is now is like if he fights again, or he say he's going to fight again, did he pick better people? Because 70% of this issue is at Floyd's feet because it is his money. So like you can't absolve him of the issue. And so has he chosen better people? Because there's no point of, him fighting again. He's going to have more people just getting rich off of him pretty much, But I really believe, whatever whatever his father figure took from him, Floyd trying to get back in these fights. That's what I'm thinking. Floyd is trying to get back in these fights. Because we know one thing about Floyd, you know, he can get hundreds of millions of dollars for a fight. It's sad he has to do it, but it doesn't pay to be stupid. It don't pay to be stupid. We know Floyd is slow. I'm sorry, it's the truth. We know he's not all there. So to CJ, I'm a little depressed that, you know, one of our legends has to go out of retirement. That's like Michael Jordan come out of retirement because Nike just robbed Jordan. Like, that's insane. This is insane, bro. He gonna come back, get an L or get a couple of L's. Luckily, he has a long history of winning, so the L's are not going to overshine his victories, but it's still going to be like funny, you know, at the end of the day. I hope you enjoyed the video. I enjoyed you. I'm out.